Labor makes no apologies, Deputy President, for having an ambitious housing target. We need an ambitious target, given the scale of the problem we inherited when we came to government in 22. I take note that those opposite the coalition in their decade of power did not actually have a housing minister for 6 years of that decade, at least. And when we came to government, we found absolutely no movement in social and affordable housing, no plan to increase housing supply. And so we had a situation where we had demand chasing an ever-shrinking pool of housing right across the country. And of course, that just drove up rents and that drove up house prices, putting the great Australian dream further and further out of reach of young people. We all understand the scale of the problem, but I find it incredibly disingenuous that those opposite would challenge us on our track record when they had the temerity in this chamber to delay key housing bills, not just once, not just twice, but at least 3 times. The Housing Australia Future Fund was an election promise in 22. I know it well because I spoke to thousands of people in Higgins, along with Senator Stewart, who accompanied me on doors and on the phones, describing to those constituents what we were offering. And I described in detail the Housing Australia Future Fund, and they liked it. They responded to it because they felt that we needed a legacy reform that would outlive, frankly, any government, good or bad. And the Housing Australia Future Fund, a $10 billion investment in 55,000 homes, was just that vehicle. Thinking that winning a seat like Higgins would send a message to the coalition, being the first Labor member in this blue of blue ribbon seats, a seat of leaders of 4 previous Liberal Prime Ministers, thinking that that would send a message, of course it didn't. It fell on deaf ears. Because in this chamber, those opposite delayed the Housing Australia Future Fund for at least 12 months. When it was finally passed in September 2023, we scrambled to get agreements out the door. Currently, we have 28,000 homes that are in the planning stages or under construction as a result of passing that legislation. And full credit to the Minister for Housing on the other side, who has done her level best to get these deals done and signed and out the door. We have invested as a government $43 billion in Homes for Australia. That is the most any Commonwealth government has invested in living memory. And it's not just the Housing Australia Future Fund. There is also the Home Guarantee Scheme. This was a coalition legacy, and because it was a good policy, we retained it, we improved on it. It allows entrants a 5% deposit, eliminating lenders' mortgage insurance. And what we found was that it was taken up, and we expanded the remit of it. So we allowed not just first homeowners, but their relatives, for example, to like parents or guardians or friends, de facto, so on, to help the first home buyer into the housing market. So expanded its eligibility. And what we found was, in a relatively short period of time, over 100,000 Australians entered the housing market through the Home Guarantee Scheme. As a result, we went to the May election expanding that even further. We increased the income caps, increased the price caps on the homes people could buy, and essentially have said to first home buyers that you can enter the housing market with a 5% deposit, as little as a 5% deposit, and we are also ring-fencing 100,000 homes at a cost of $10 billion just for you, for first home buyers and not anyone else. And Australians responded to that policy. But that was not all. We've also got the build-to-rent reforms. These were delayed by several months in this chamber. Unconscionable in a housing crisis. Build-to-rent is another housing model. It will increase housing supply by about 80,000. 10% of those homes, 8,000, will be social and affordable homes. And build-to-rent is different. It has security of tenure, 5-year leases.
Senator Ananda-Rajah, your time has expired.